I bring Gio in for one class, and he goes, if you stick around, you will be the next world champion. And then Gio, of course, like, I think it's a joke. This person could be the next fucking Mozart, but like, I don't like piano. And they're like, mother.
You're built for this. I'd rather weave baskets.
Well. Welcome to a super lean and cut and fit episode of The Careful Boys, where today we have my number one Padawan in the gym, Jared Feather, here today, y'all.
Wow. There he is. You do good work, Anthony. You do very good work.
Jared Feather. He's just a great student. You know what else he taught me? Check it out.
Oh. Whoa.
Don't show them yet, dude. Don't show them. Hide your weaknesses. Hide your weaknesses.
Speaking of students, now I know you guys all coached, had students of various levels, and I'm sure people watching, we have a lot of fans that are in different stages of their fitness journey. And do you guys, like, while you're coaching, like, do you guys see the different stages of, like, from white belt to black belt of what kind of characteristics these folks have? Is there, like, a general, like, to get to this stage and this stage, this is what's missing from these beginners of, like, maybe it's like consistency or like whatever. And do you know these like markers, or like what are the things you can identify as, like, if every fucking beginner can do X, they could break through that?
Like I think the biggest is technique acquisition and coordination.
So like
imagine the first, yeah, exactly. Imagine the first time you tried to bench press or squat. The first time you tried to squat, especially.
And you just wobble legs and shit.
What's going on here? So teaching technique.
Form?
Yeah, and just a level of coordination required for that. It's low, obviously, but a lot of people just don't have that. And the second you can teach somebody that, hell yeah, you start to get moving on the actual training.
That's true, because that'd be like, you'd be like, hey man, I want you to give me a right hook, and then my left hand goes out.
I'd
be like, fuck, Joe, I said right!
And I yell at you.
So it's coordination okay, that would be the first stage.
What about, like, did you coach powerlifting? Kind of a similar thing, like technique?
I think for me, I try to like, I think powerlifting kind of dove into like more like a niche genre, but I've coached people from weight loss to powerlifting to like strength and conditioning. And then for me, it's always about, the first thing is consistency.
Oh, yeah.
Is how much does the person say, how much does the person do what they say they're gonna do? So I almost like to keep things baseline. I go, you tell me how many days you can commit, I'll write the program. So I don't even go, here's a 5-day program, and oh, it's fucking so much. I'm like, you tell me. Yeah. What is something that even if your fucking mom crashes in an airplane, like your dog dies, your house goes on fire, you're still committing to this. Yeah. So then I match your baseline, right? And if they go, okay, with all that in mind, I can only train 2 days out of the week. I'm like, cool, we'll do 2 days. And if we do 2 days, and if they can't even keep that up for, like, let's say 2 or 3 weeks, then I'm like, oh shit, we need to go to preschool with this motherfucker, because they can't even do what they say they're gonna do. So to me, that's kind of like where the starting thing is, and I think you lose a lot of people with just consistency, where most people have the hardest time sticking to something for even like 3 months. That's what I noticed.
So the first breakthrough would be, can they even show up?
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah. And then the next thing to me is, when they can show up, can they do the things they're supposed to do when they show up?
Or you mean like their workout program, or do they cheat it? Like they sandbag it?
You know, I ended up talking to my friend for 2 hours. I had to go to work, so I cut, like, I did half the number of squats you told me to do, and then I did the other thing. And then the next thing is, how quickly can they correct the situation? So some people, they'll be like, hey, Wednesday, I fucked up, I couldn't whatever. So Thursday, I woke up extra early and I just banged it out. I know I don't train on Thursdays, but I banged it out so I can be right back on track on Friday. And I'm like, okay, how quickly can they self-correct? And then that kind of like lets me go, okay, this is the type of athlete this person is, and then we can, because I feel like all the other things, if you can nail down the character-based stuff, the actual training part comes really easy. That's why you get, like, you know, people like Tristan. So Tristan's like this fucking, he first came on social media as like a 17-year-old Fina.
12.
Or 12.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah.
That dude's nuts.
Jared coaches him. Someone like him, where like, when he first came into bodybuilding, of course he's gonna fucking crush it, because he's been gearing to play professional soccer since he was a baby. Yeah. So when you talk to him, you're like, when's the last time you had a pizza? And he's like, oh, I haven't had a cheat meal in 8 years. And you're like, you're fucking 19? What the fuck? Yeah, so crazy. Because they have all the character stuff on lock, it's like anything. Here, fucking read how to build a rocket. Here's bodybuilding. Everything's just gonna kill. Like, play here. This is how you play guitar. Crush, 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 crush. You know. But then if you don't have the character part, I think that's where like the therapy and like the babysitter part comes into play, because you first got to get people on the bike and then get the training wheels off, and then you're like, okay, cool. Now here's the actual program, is what I noticed training people.
Because everyone says like training, fitness, or if you want to get good at something, or even in business too, it's like your mindset. What's your mindset going in? And I think for a lot of people that have tried fitness in the past and they're trying to lose weight and they hit a wall and they couldn't do it and they gained some weight back, it's a really hard thing for them to get over sometimes. So it's like they have it in their belief in their mind that like, oh, I'm not a fitness person, I'm not like a gym goer, I can't lose weight. But in reality, it's like connecting the dots of like, if you just stick with these behaviors for an extended period of time, then you could see your results. And for some people, like, it's hard because they can't believe that. They've never seen that.
So they're not trusting the process?
So, but that's where you have to kind of like knock down their self-limiting beliefs a little bit, ask them a little more intuitive questions, more of like the therapy side of like, hey, why didn't you do this, or what's holding you back, or whatever. But it's like a lot of various questions that I found like I had to ask a lot of my clients, to the point where they go, oh, okay, I could see the connection here. It takes some time, but eventually it gets them going.
So I'm assuming like this is like at the most beginner level, where they don't know anything about fitness or nutrition, and they just like call you up and they're like, help me.
Yeah, because depending on like who I get a more general population. So it's like I might get someone who's a crusher. They can crush anything, and some people are just like, dude, I don't know where to start. I feel hopeless. So it's like having to manage those two different personalities is like very different approach across the board. But
then in your mind you can go, oh, this guy I'm coaching is a purple belt. This guy's a white belt.
Like I know this guy's not here yet, but we have to progress him this way. Because even in like for jiu-jitsu, we have to do the same freaking thing, or kickboxing. Everyone has a different skill set coming in, and then you have to really just meet them where they're at and really understand that like, okay. And for jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, it can be a little more objective of like skill-wise where they need to be and where they need to progress through. But like for sometimes with like fitness coaching or weight loss stuff, it can be a little trickier. But
like even when I coached my pops, right, knows jack shit about fitness at all, and he's like, what the hell's this? How do I get rid of this? And I was like, let's start with something easy. This when he was living with me. I was like, what I want you to do is every day go downstairs, have an assault bike. I'm like, I want you to hit 30 calories on there. I don't care how you do it. It could be 10 morning, 10 after lunch, 10 at night. But when you hit 30, take a picture and send it to me. And I just want to test that. Can you do that? So I just leave him alone. And then he was like, oh, okay, I can hit 10. And it became a game. And he started hitting 30s every day. And then the next week, he's on his own, hit 40 every day. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the type of person he is. So like, then I can immediately go, this guy's ready for the next step. And then I started doing like, just like really basic things I feel like all old people should do, which is like a box squat, you know, he like superset some things so he can like, and then I taught him like a hinge position and then some like dumbbell rows. And then so now like I start seeing that he can stick to things, and when he misses things, he feels bad, he self-corrects, adds days when he needs to. I'm like, okay, he's ready for like a legit program. And I started writing down shit, and then he was like doing it, and he lost fucking, I think like 40 pounds in like 3 months. Whoa. Just from doing that. And he didn't even really change his diet too much, just being so much more active.
Like beginner from that to like, let's say pro athlete, right? What would the common problems be for the in-betweeners that are like, okay, they got the things down, they do the regular thing, right? But then they're not quite serious like a hardcore athlete. Like, what are the things you see for the guys in between?
I never really coached pro athletes. Maybe you could chime in, but what are the things that you think that's like bottlenecking people from intermediate to like the pro level?
Yeah, it really just depends. I mean, consistency, like you guys said, is always something that can kind of just come up on anyone, blindside you, and you can fall off the rails. Like you said, you trained and shit back in the day, then you're like, fuck, I look like shit. Then you trained again, then you let yourself go. That can happen to anybody. Yeah, I took your question more like, when do you see, like, what is the thing that makes somebody ready for the next step as far as like in the gym? So that's why I kind of gave my answer. But as far as like separating somebody from intermediate to an advanced stage, we have specific things that we look for in like bodybuilding or fitness, and like whether that's hitting specific numbers with certain techniques, things like that. Whether they're in the gym actually tracking their volume and using like a log. But all these things are kind of like habit forming things, like he said.
What up, guys? Thank you for watching us for so long. If you like what we do, please support our Patreon. Joe, tell them what we have to offer.
So every week you get 2 videos. One never released director's cut, and another one 2 half for YouTube, Patreon only. Every freaking week you get that, and you get access to our Discord where you can come chat with us.
And ask us questions that become episodes here, because we're gonna answer them and we're gonna take it seriously, and we wanna give you the responses that you want. So come stay connected with us, join our Patreon, click the description below for full details.
If somebody, because you can have somebody who's been training for 10 years and somebody who's been training for 2, and the guy who's been training for 2 is more advanced than the guy who's been training for 10. So it's really like, comes down big time to that kind of genetic thing. Like, this guy's coordinated and built for this shit. Like, you are gonna be good at dancing because you realize you have rhythm and shit at a young age, right? You're like, oh, I'm fucking good at this. I'm gonna keep going. My white ass would have been like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've been dancing for 6 years and I still move like a white guy at a fucking wedding reception. You know what I mean? So within 1 year, you would have been more advanced than my white ass in 6 years. So it's about watching them move, seeing how much muscle they're building in the gym, seeing what their lifts are, if they're doing like double bodyweight squats already and it's been 6 months, you're like, this guy's gonna be good at this shit.
Yeah, he's gonna be a freak.
He's gonna be fucking good. Those are things that like really come down to genetics, but if you can find those people and refine the things they need to, like their technique and like creating habits, they're gonna be really good at the thing.
I see.
Yeah.
So once you get past that stage of like, okay, now they got the basics down and now they're at this point of competition, athletics, you try to figure out what their hack or what their thing is gonna be. Like, this guy's a jumper, or like this guy's...
Once they hit that intermediate level, you can kind of almost tell now through what is the next bottleneck, through genetics or willpower. So some people, I've seen them pick up a barbell and I'm like, holy fuck, this guy's gonna be fucking dunking in like 3 months. Because just how explosively they move. But then, because everything came so easy, they could also be the laziest piece of shit ever, and you're like, dude, this motherfucker could have been so fucking good if they got their shit together. And then on the flip side, there's people that you're like, this guy's fucking hopeless, dude. The way he moves this thing, he fucking barely progresses 5 pounds every 6 months, but in his mind, he's like, oh, fuck you. And then 10 years later, you're like, holy shit, you're at this level? And it's pretty crazy, because it's not just genetics that win. It can be like even when we see in fighters, there's guys with the ugliest form, but they'll just dog you to death. They'll drag you around. They don't look pretty when they're fighting. Nothing looks good in training. They don't look like a pro athlete. They look uncoordinated, but their willpower is so strong. And then obviously the best is when you have someone with both. Yeah, for sure. Where they have the willpower, like all the greats, they train like crazy. But then all the greats, when you hear like all the great bodybuilders, when you hear them, you go, and they ask them the question like, who's your either number one nemesis or who's the greatest bodybuilder that we've never heard of? All of them have someone. All of them have they're like, yes, I won Olympia 4 times, 7 times, but there's this one other guy who was my training partner, and god damn it, if he would have just got his shit together, I would have no Olympia.
Yeah.
But they just got in their own way. They're like, dude, this guy has a smaller waist than me, way broader shoulders. He fucking does a bicep curl and his quads get bigger. Like, it's like, what the fuck? You know, and then you're like, but then for me, I just was able to stick to something.
Hard work beats talent. Talent fails to work hard. Damn.
Wow. Is that true, dog?
That is true.
Do you ever
I mean, unless you're extremely talented and then you're just an anomaly. Anomalies always win.
And that's why everyone admires Kobe so much. Yeah, because no one thought he was good. Everyone's like, this guy literally is not a genetic freak. He doesn't like just fly off the floor, but he outworked everyone till the very end. So like everyone's like, yeah, Kobe is like hands down the GOAT.
First in, last out. That's why it's so relatable and people love him.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring up dance too, because like, I guess number one, like, it's not, there's no like metric of measurement that's as like objective across the board. Like, of course, if you go into like dance schools and stuff like that, and you stick to specific techniques, flexibility, execution, range, extension, you can start going into those categories. But like overall, when you go into something that's so hobby and subjective in like the experience, like you don't have units of measurement. Like, oh, my PR is this. Like, there's a number, there's a weight, there's like an amount of, you know, reps that you do that's like a progressive thing from last week, so you feel the sense of accomplishment right away.
But have either of you like instructed?
Yeah.
You both instructed dance. So when did you know a student was ready for the next class, like the advanced class?
That's also ironic too, because even though I've done like privates and tutorials and stuff like that, like you oftentimes, well, at least in my category of like teaching, there are oftentimes like classes or workshops or like seminars, right? So you're working with like a multitude of students, anywhere from like 6 to like 1,000 in a workshop, you know? So you're not really always getting one-to-one. So even as a student, your progression sometimes is just a matter of consistency, showing up until your metric of measurement is for yourself being like, I didn't fuck up when like it was like by the end of the class I got the routines, to I got like highlighted or called out as some sort of like, oh, this person got better. Or but even then, like most of the time that coaching or that like tutelage is, everyone's journey is so random and unique that you're only giving positive feedback so that they can stay on the journey, because consistency is what is going to develop them as an individual artist, versus the same metrics of like your performance was better. That just comes with over time, and you can recognize it over time is all. Yeah. But it's not like come in here and do this many reps of this many reps of this, unless that person is like, you are like their mentor and like their personal coach / like their trainer or whatever, which we have those too, you know. I'm having like students come in and be like, you got to do this type of warm up this many times because you're working on your foundation. We need to get that quality of movement higher, and then we'll get into whatever. But that's usually just to get like a base of movement. But to find themselves as an artist, that's a whole different like realm of exercise and experience. They need to like do self-discovery.
But don't they systemize it too, like in like traditional dance? Like there's whole classes and stuff built around.
Depends on the style,
right? Yeah, like ballet and then whatever, and then there's levels, right?
Yeah, but there's a beautiful irony to that, because like if you become really, really great at the foundation, high level respect, but then the second you get to a certain tier, it's also like, well, you just look like every other really, really good mover. What makes you special?
Yeah.
So you also have to do this parallel journey of individualism that has you stand out.
Where's your artistry comes out.
That's honestly like the red flag when people try to tell you how good they are at dance by using time. That's a bad sign. If someone's
Or
like,
if they tell you they
I've been
went to
dancing
Juilliard?
12 years. It's like, dog, like if you haven't accomplished anything in 12 years, bro, that's not good. You shouldn't be telling people.
One of the most bitter things that I have against Gio was
I hate my wife. Here's why.
no, this is maybe like 15 years ago. I was training at this place called The Yard. It's in downtown, and it's a
Muay Thai place.
Yeah, Muay Thai. Joe Schilling is like their star athlete, and Coach Mark is like his like Customado, and he's a super cool Japanese dude, and he's coached like some of the highest level Muay Thai strikers ever. And I was going there for like a month now, and I have a little bit of MMA background from somewhere else, and I was asking Mark, I was like, hey, Coach Mark, I was like, when do you think I could have like my first fight? He goes, from where you're at right now, he goes, I probably need to train you for like a year. I'm like, okay, cool, a year. And then at that time I was thinking about it. I bring Gio in for one class, and then he goes, if you stick around, you will be the next world champion. And then Gio, of course, like, I think it's a joke. And I'm like, this motherfucker doesn't joke around. I'm like, did you just hear what the fuck he just said? Because you just saw her like, hips and like just body awareness.
Like you teep the fuck out of somebody.
Yeah, and then he was just like, and I was like, do you know what he just said? This is like Mike Tyson's coach discovering the next person. And I'm like, you want to come back again? Nah, I don't really like Muay Thai. I'm like, you fucking.
When I first trained Gio and Bart together, I was like, Gio's way better than this one. Even in jiu-jitsu, I'm like, dude, she's gonna. I was like, you better watch out. Like, she's gonna triangle your ass. She's gonna fuck you up. Cause coordination-wise, she's a better mover, I think.
What?
And she picks up things better, I think, than this fucking guy.
But then that's also the thing where like sometimes people get in their own way. Like they have, you know, it's
Or
like,
she's just not. She really just wasn't interested. Huh?
yeah, you're not interested. So it's like,
Damn.
this person could be the next fucking Mozart, but like, I don't like piano. And you're like, mother.
You're built for this. I'd rather weave baskets.
Well,
Did you hear what he said? He never fucking said that about me.
Dang.
She could have been a Muay Thai champ.
I know.
It's a tough job though.
dude, you could have been a ring boy.
I would have been down.
Well,
Yeah.
Massage her shoulders. You got this, and I squeeze the fucking.
Oh,
Oh, like this?
Yeah, the number one.